Hello everyone, I am Dr. Digambar Ghodke from the Department of English. Welcome to this lesson number 6 on research methodology. Having discussed some of the types of research in lesson 5, in this lesson 6 too, we shall talk about the remaining types. In lesson 5, we talked about applied research, basic research, correlational research, descriptive research and ethnographic research. In this lesson, we shall talk about the remaining. They include experimental research, exploratory research, grounded theory, historical research, phenomenological research, qualitative research and quantitative research. Now, we shall begin with a discussion on experimental research. Experimental research is a study conducted with a scientific approach using two sets of variables. The first set acts as a constant which we use to measure the differences of the second set. Quantitative research methods, for example, are experimental. A researcher can conduct experimental research in the following situations. First, when time is an important factor in establishing a relationship between the cause and effect. Second, when there is an invariable or never changing behavior between the cause and effect. Thirdly, when the researcher wishes to understand the importance of the cause and effect. Based on the methods used to collect data in experimental studies, the experimental research designs are of three primary types. The first type of experimental research is pre-experimental research design. This type is conducted when a group or many groups are under observation after implementing factors of cause and effect of the research. The pre-experimental design can help researchers understand whether further investigation is necessary for the groups under observation. This research is of three types. Pre-experimental research is of three types. One shot case study, one group pre-test, post-test research, and the third is static group comparison research. True experimental research design relies on statistical analysis to prove or disprove a researcher's hypothesis. It is one of the most accurate forms of research because it provides specific scientific evidence. Furthermore, out of all the three types of experimental designs, only the second type, that is true experimental design, can establish a cause-effect relationship within a group. However, in a true experiment, a researcher must satisfy three factors. The first one is there is a control group that is not subjected to changes and an experimental group that will experience the changed variables. Second, a variable that can be manipulated by the researcher. And thirdly, random distribution of the variables is required. This type of experimental research is commonly observed in the physical sciences. The third type of experimental research design is quasi-experimental research design. The word quasi itself means similarity. A quasi-experimental design is similar to a true experimental design. However, the difference between the two is the assignment of the control group. In this research design, an independent variable is manipulated, but the participants of a group are not randomly assigned. This type of research design is used in field settings where random assignment is either irrelevant or not required. The experimental research is thought to be the best method to test the theory because of the following advantages. First, researchers have firm control over variables to obtain results. Second, the subject does not impact the effectiveness of experimental research. Anyone can implement it for research purposes. Thirdly, the results are specific. The fourth advantage is post-result analysis. Research findings from the same data set can be repurposed for similar research ideas. Next, researchers can identify the cause and effect of the hypothesis and further analyze this relationship to determine in-depth ideas. Experimental research makes an ideal starting point. The collected data could be used as a foundation to build new research ideas for further studies. Having talked about experimental research design, now we shall go ahead with the next type, that is historical research. Historical research is a process of collecting and interpreting data about past events or ideas in order to find how they affect the present events and ideas. Historical research studies possible reasons behind certain events to explain their influence on the events that followed. It helps to figure out connections between past and present events. Historical research can also provide the researchers with information regarding possible future events. This research mainly relies on first-hand information sources such as historical records, books, photographs, letters, evidences that belong to the time the research focuses on. It also relies on secondary source materials such as books and articles written sometimes after the events. So, this source can also contribute to this research to some extent. The advantage of historical research are rather advantages. First, historical research provides us with an opportunity to find insights about past events. This research helps us in identifying key elements of past negative events that play a significant role in preventing certain similar circumstances. It can result in an important discovery on a global scale. Further, in this research, a researcher is not involved with the event. The limitations of this research are: first, the sources may not be reliable and may represent misleading facts about the events. Secondly, not all past events can be studied because of the lack of evidence and source materials. The third disadvantage is that it gets more challenging to have research if the events are from a more distant past. Further, finding a reason for certain events does not mean that the same reason can lead to similar events. Next, the researcher may require travels between various destinations. And finally, a researcher does not have control over the result. These are some of the limitations of the historical research. Now, we shall go ahead with the next type, that is phenomenological research. It is a qualitative research that helps in describing the lived experiences of an individual. The phenomenological method focuses on studying the phenomena that have impacted an individual. This approach highlights the specifics and it identifies a phenomenon as pursued by an individual in a given situation. It can also be used to study the commonality in the behaviors of a group of people. Phenomenological research has its roots in psychology, education, and philosophy. Its aim is to extract the purest data that has not been attained before. Sometimes researchers record personal notes about what they learn from the subjects. This adds to the credibility of data, allowing researchers to remove these influences to produce unbiased narratives. Through this method, researchers attempt to answer two major questions. First, what are the subject's experiences related to the given phenomenon? Second, what factors have influenced the experience of the given phenomenon? A researcher may also use observations, art and documents to construct a universal meaning of experiences as they establish an understanding of the phenomenon. The richness of the data obtained in this research opens up opportunities for further inquiry. Researchers can use a variety of methods in phenomenological designs. Some of the most common methods now we are going to talk about are participant observation, interviews, conversations with participants, analysis of personal text, action research, and focus meetings. Now we shall go ahead with the next type of research, that is quantitative research. Quantitative research is the process of collecting and analyzing numerical data. It can be used to find patterns and averages, make predictions, test causal relationships, and generalize results to wider populations. Quantitative research is the opposite of qualitative research, which involves collecting and analyzing non-numerical data, for example, text, video, or audio. Quantitative research is widely used in the natural and social sciences such as biology, chemistry, psychology, economics, sociology, marketing, etc. Quantitative research methods include experiments, surveys, observations, and the use of secondary data. Researchers in this particular type can use quantitative methods for descriptive, correlational, or experimental research. In descriptive research, researchers simply seek an overall summary of the study variables. In correlational research, researchers investigate the relationship between the study variables. And in experimental research, researchers examine whether there is a cause and effect relationship between variables. Correlational and experimental research can both be used to formally test hypotheses or predictions using statistics. The results may be generalized to broader populations based on the sampling method used. To collect quantitative data, researchers often need to use operational definitions that translate abstract concepts, for example mood, into observable and quantifiable measures, for example self ratings of feelings and energy levels, etc. The advantages of using quantitative research methods are its reliability and validity. The results can be generalized, replicable and predictive. However, quantitative research methods have the disadvantages too. The disadvantages include not providing in-depth understanding due to the reductive nature of classification. Now, we shall go ahead with the last type of research, that is qualitative research. Qualitative research is a process of naturalistic inquiry that seeks an in-depth understanding of social phenomena within their natural setting. This research focuses on the why rather than the what of social phenomena, and it relies on the direct experiences of human beings as meaning making agents in their everyday lives. Rather than by logical and statistical procedures, qualitative researchers use multiple systems of inquiry for the study of human phenomena, including biography, case study, historical analysis, discourse analysis, ethnography, grounded theory and phenomenology. The methods of this research include focus groups, unstructured or in-depth interviews and reviews of documents for types of themes. It is a primarily inductive process used to formulate theory or hypotheses. This research is more subjective because it describes a problem or condition from the point of view of those experiencing it. This research is more text-based method. It gives more in-depth information of a few cases, and it includes unstructured or semi-structured response options. It has no statistical test. That is one of the disadvantages, and it is less generalizable. I hope this discussion on the types of research was helpful in understanding the concept of research. Have a wonderful time. Thank you.